Look podcast. Glad to be back here. It's Craig Sager. I'm Najee Wilkins. Lots to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the first round of the playoffs, reacting, giving the biggest results. Obviously, our standout performers, breaking down, tell the tape. This would be last year's linebacker, Bryce Parker. And then we'll get into some picks. I think I might have got you this week, Craig. I went 12-3. We'll see how you went, but I think I might have got you this week.
I think you did.
Yep.
10 and 15 from my count. We'll verify it.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, we got to verify. And then we'll get into the picks for this week. Talk about Georgia and their stomping of Ole Miss. I don't know what made me choose Ole Miss. I should have just picked Georgia at home. That was a shellacking. And then we'll get into some big NFL storylines. Big games coming up this week. And then Josh Allen. Got to talk about that storyline and they actually just fired their offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. So we'll get into all that.
Yeah, and I think that's a good move.
Yeah,
they just aren't spreading the ball out well. Something's not working. Bills are in collapse mode right now, but yeah, we'll see. But it was a good first round of the playoffs. It's spread out over 2 days. It's not really ideal. No one likes the Saturday games or like them all in one day, but some big results. I thought seeing Sandy Creek go down was surprising. The way Collins Hill played, we'll talk about that a bit. Against North Cobb, definitely a shocker. And then Cass showing up and just playing really well against Kel.
Yeah, 100%. And we talked about that a little bit off air and on air, Craig, about just casting the ability to be able to go in there and potentially get a win. And they did. So I know you talked about it yesterday, but let's start there. Let's start off with that one. You was at the game. Just talk about kind of what you saw. I know you talked about it a little bit yesterday, but just what stood out about that game? What was Cass able to do well to kind of knock Kel off the game a little bit?
Cass, they won in a lot of areas, but the most important area was the lines of scrimmage. Absolutely dominated. Defensively, applied pressure the entire game, got Kel off its rhythm. Kel was missing some players. They didn't really get the run game going, just had them uncomfortable. Offensively, the way Cass's offensive line played, they dominated. They had positive gains on every single snap, and they could have probably put up some more points, but they struck early, got the big lead, and then just all the turnovers they were able to produce. They looked really good. Devin Henderson did his thing. He looks healthy. Sokovie White made some of the most incredible plays. Brody said after the game, he's just a freak of nature. He'd choose his skill guys over everyone, but specifically just pointing out Sokovie. I mean, the catches he was making just next level. And then I just think the way that Brody was able to use his size, his legs, he's getting confident out there and made a big impact just reading that Kel defense and then having the confidence to just gash them into the end zone.
No, 100%. I mean, it's a big win. And obviously, as you said, those were kind of the keys going into the game. Devin Henderson, Kobe White, and Howard Brody McWhorter kind of playing that game. I think that was interesting. And he played well. He won Offensive Player of the Game and MVP. So he came up to play. And I was kind of excited to see him have a big game. We asked those questions at the end of the Cardinals game. You know, do you trust him towards the end of games? Obviously, he'll get more tests and be in bigger roles, I think, going forward. But I think it's exciting to see him step up big, have a big game. And I think that's big for them going forward.
Yeah, and when you look at Kel's defensive line, they're solid, but really they have like one or two standouts. And so when you have Devin Henderson in the backfield and then Brody can read what the defensive end's going to do, what Kel's big studs are going to do, and then you have an O-line that can get to the second level, get to the linebackers. They just had so much success doing that early on. Caught him off guard, and then Kel really hasn't been in that position all year where they're playing from behind. Yeah, they were in it in the Parkview game. I think that was a little different, though. The season wasn't on the line. It's a 7A opponent. And so I just think Cass was confident once they had the lead. They knew they weren't going to let that game slip away. And whatever Kel tried to do to get back in it, they just couldn't. There were some tough calls and then some other ones that Kel was just shooting themselves in the foot. But offensively, they just couldn't get a rhythm going. And then when Bryce went out, thought Kamari could come in. We've seen him do it before, but it was the first pass attempt I think he had. They tried to take a deep shot. It was underthrown. Cass intercepted it, and I think that's when the game kind of just completely slipped out of Kel's hands.
100%. And then I think a big result for me, we'll start with Collins Hill, their big 45-14 victory against North Cobb. A lot of people didn't take them, but got to give a shout out to Coach Swick, doing a good job with the program. Kind of in a rebuilding year. Got a lot of young talent. Deuce Gerald's TJ Wilcox was a junior stepping into a big role. He had a really good game, only 3 incompletions, 207 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The running back Cam Jones had a big game, 8 carries, 127 yards, touchdown. But the key in this game was, as we've been saying, their defensive front. 5 sacks in this game. Deuce Gerald's had 2 of those. And I think that's a part that they can kind of hang their hat on, and it's been significant for the team all season. And I think that's a good building block you can go because Swick was the defensive coordinator for them before getting the head coaching job. And I think just, obviously they're going to graduate some seniors, but you're going to bring back CJ Hector. You're going to bring back a TJ Wilcox. Jaros is going to be there next year. You're just getting nice building block tools and players that you're going to be building next season. And then you add that with a big, emphatic playoff victory, that's going to be big for them going forward.
Yep. And when you saw Collins Hill make back-to-back finals, win it that year where Travis Hunter, Sam Horn, their defense was the strength. Both of those seasons, they almost won it back-to-back years. They fell, I believe that was to Grayson in the finals. So the defense came out against North Cobb, did its thing. Tons of turnovers, disrupted them on the defensive line. But you mentioned the quarterback, TJ Wilcox, and you look at a game where it's lopsided, 45-17. It's like, okay, did he get some of those touchdowns later on? No. He came out and got confidence right away. So Cortez Hayes intercepts North Cobb, opening possession. TJ comes down, gets a rushing touchdown. That's the confident boost he needed. Him giving his team a lead with his legs, then you saw him start to connect with the playmakers. Looks like they forced another turnover. North Cobb tied it back up 7-7, but then TJ Wilcox 67-yard touchdown pass to Ethan Campbell. And then I believe he had all his touchdowns in the first half. And so that was big for him, I think, just getting that first touchdown run and then opening up the passing game, getting the confidence.
100%. And like you said, that confidence is key, man. And that's going to be big for them going forward. And kind of starting off the game like that is going to be big. And I'm telling you, they're going to go into this game against Milton. Obviously, I'm going to still take Milton to win, but they're going to go in this game against Milton confident. Hey, guys, if we don't turn over the football, we're in this game. All right, we only lost by this margin. We was in it the whole time. If we don't commit that many turnovers, they have 5 turnovers in that game, we feel good going in. Obviously, we'll talk about more games we're looking forward to. But I'm telling you, going into that game, after that win, they're confident.
This is TJ real quick. Let's just look at – so you talked the Milton game. He had 2 interceptions in that one. Look how solid he's been these last 3 games. I mean, before he's passing like 38, 40%. Against Central Gwinnett, 13 of 19, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Decula, they had that game easily, 8 of 11, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And then against North Cobb, 10 of 13, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So early on in the season, he has 10, but really these last few weeks, he's not turned the ball over. That's going to be the key.
100% agree with that. And the next one for me got to be Statesboro's big win on the road against Tucker, 49-28. The big stand on that one, obviously, was Cam Michael in his game. But I really got to give a shout-out to their offensive play calling. It seemed like they knew what Tucker was going to do defensively, and they really pretty much, baited them into certain calls. And what was so cool was, Tucker would over-pursue one way, and then they would come the other way, or they would use a reverse. And Tucker wouldn't have enough on the back line to be able to defend it. So I got to give my game hat to Matt Dobson and their offensive coordinator because it was a well-called game. I was there calling it from the booth, and I was really impressed with their offensive play calling, how they kept them on edge the whole game. And, it's tough for Tucker because they were answering them, right? It was 21-20 game at one point, but then Jamar Graham goes down, concussion, out for the rest of the game. You could tell that made a difference. They had to start in their, backup quarterback to Corey Carroll. And that's a tough spot to be in, right? Playoff game, don't have a lot of playing experience, and you got to come in and, try to make an impact. And then they had to move Hassan Sykes to offensive side of the ball. So it was tough, for Tucker, but I thought they fought really well. It does suck. They're going to lose some of their seniors. They didn't have C.J. Jackson that game. He hyperextended his knee in the game before in Arabian Mountain, so they didn't have him in that game. But I think for some of the young players, and they had a lot of freshmen playing too, Craig, it's going to be good playing experience for them, and they're going to be able to build. And they return all but 2 players on the offensive line next year. So,
yep. How did Tucker's quarterback do?
Graham was good. I mean, early in the game, he went out with a concussion, but early in the game, he was good. He was reading defense well. He had a rushing touchdown, I think a passing touchdown in the game, and then they ran it really well with McCoy. I liked Jordan McCoy. He had a really good game. The senior running back, underrated, but was doing everything you wanted him to do. So, I mean, he had him in the game. They were whenever Statesboro would go down, Tucker would come right back and go and score.
Nice. But I think what you said was key because Tucker obviously has so much speed defensively, but being able to know where they're going to pursue and then hit the counters, that's a great game plan and a big win for Statesboro. We saw a team from their region had another big win with was it Jenkins over Arabia, the number 4 seed. So they definitely showed out. Tucker had a good season. I think they definitely improved their win total, and then obviously Arabia Mountain had a phenomenal year with their region title. But that was a big result. So that was Cameron McKell that impressed you in that one.
Yes, that and offensive play calling. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, are we going to go just surprising results right now?
Yeah, surprise. Yeah, whatever results you want.
Let's see.
I got a bunch of them. So
I'm going to start with, well, we already talked about the Cass one. One sec, guys. I want to go to Saturday. I know I had one here. Oh, yeah, New Hampstead, their win over Westside Macon. I really like this New Hampstead team. Kyle Hockman used to be the head coach at McEachern. He led them to a ton of deep playoff runs. He goes down to New Hampstead. His team has lost coast game after coast game the last probably 3 seasons. And then 40-12 win. Westside Macon's a good team. And their quarterback, I mean, Rashawn Terwell, we saw him against, I think it was the big win over Burke County. He just put up ridiculous numbers, close to 600 yards, and he had 6 touchdowns in this game too. And he's only a junior. So I think that result's surprising. I wanted to see how good New Hampstead would be, just a team that hasn't really been in the playoffs. They've been relevant, but I think this is their best team in quite a while. So that's a big win for the Phoenix.
For sure, big win for them, and obviously had a great just kind of finish to the season for them, and they're carrying into the playoffs and a big win on Saturday. It's a great shout out by Craig. Next one I want to go to is Houston County's win, 42-32 against North Atlanta. My standout, Craig, if you go back, I went back and watched the game too on GPB and on their YouTube channel, and they had a chance to win the game. They were down 35-32. They went and scored, and then they get the onside kick. Then they go there in their red zone. I want to say red zone, but in their territory, about the 35-40 yard line, and they throw an interception. So my thing in that game is you need your quarterback to be better. And I like North Atlanta. I don't even think, to be honest with you, Craig, I don't even think there's a talent discrepancy. I think North Atlanta has the same talent that Houston County has. I think they got the same or even better coaching than they do as well. I love Coach All. Same depth as well. I love Coach All. I love Coach Doe. I don't even put that on them. The quarterback has to play better. I watched the film, Craig. He is telegraphing too many of his throws. Like he's going 1-2 and he's staring down the receiver. The defense sees that and they are picking him off. So that's the big step that he has to take forward next year. And the cool thing is he's going to be at the Georgia League Classic, so we're going to see him in person. But he's going to be a senior next year. Only player I think they're returning is Chase Linton and him. Maybe some couple other pieces. But they're not going to have Demetrius Barnes next year. No Darius Malcolm, no Zayden Benson. I think no Grant Thompson. So they lose a lot of their players. But to fall in a 21-3 hole and come back and claw your way back and pretty much have a chance to win, he had 4 interceptions, Craig. He just got to be better. I think they'll get him in the film room. Just cannot telegraph your throws. If defense run a certain coverage, you got to be able to, okay, hey, look, let me scan this side of the field, and then, okay, let me go back to this read. Like, he got to go through his progressions better. I know it's a fast offense. You have to get the ball out of your hands quick. But when you stare down the receiver, those are the results you're going to get. And you're going to get pick sixes and you're going to get interceptions. So that's the big result there. I'm not trying to be overly critical, Craig, but I did watch the film. Just telegraphed too many of his throws. I think if he cleans that part up, he'll be a next level QB next year.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some of the skill guys they lose. They still have enough talent just up front in the trenches, so they can morph their offense a little bit, be more run-oriented, power. I think they can adapt, be just as good. It was their best season ever. But it reminds me of the true Cairo game because Cairo had multiple opportunities to win this game. It was a 14-10 game. They threw 2 red zone interceptions. Both of those could have won it. And so it was a really tough loss, but you're in position down by 4. You get 2 opportunities, and both of them were intercepted. So that was a brutal way to lose, but it's exactly what you said. Someone's got to step up in that situation and get the points on the board.
Yes.
Obviously, down by 4, it's tough because they probably didn't realize they had enough time. Maybe they could have kicked a field goal, come back down, but in the moment, they had to go for it. And tough way to lose. They had a great season as well.
Yes, they did. But yeah, that's my result. And the next one is obviously one you brought up, Craig. Jenkins 14-13 victory against Arabia Mountain. Big defensive game, 5 sacks in that game for Jenkins. So that's one of my big results. And why? Because Arabia Mountain had one of their best seasons, I think, in school history. 9-2, just won the region championship. You thought they would go on a little run, but Jenkins comes in there as the 4 seed and beats Arabia Mountain, knocks out 2 of the teams from that region, including Tucker. So I think that's big.
Yes, it is. A tough, man, just going from the high to the low, winning the region, and then season's over like that.
Yeah.
I think a big one for me, Savannah Christian against Peach County. That one went into 4 overtimes. That's why one of the reasons it was so high scoring. But that's a tough one for Peach County because Savannah Christian's the real deal. We talked about how 3A looks a lot more wide open this year, although Calvary Day might be the favorite at this point with Cedar Grove, but just a 48-46 win, probably a playoff classic. Not many people can say they played in a 4 overtime game. So the sigh of relief from the Raiders after that one was probably very huge.
100%. And my last one is Thomasville's 36-29 victory against Harlem, a shootout of a game. Thomasville 15-7 fourth quarter was big there. And a big game from Cam Hill, 12 of 15, 240 yards, and 1 touchdown, and Anderson as well. So big time game, but basically went back and forth. Both teams put up, I think, nearly 400 yards of offense separately. So big time shootout game between both teams. Thomasville gets the edge and wins the game.
And then for me, I thought Jonesboro had a really big win over Glenn Academy. They were up big. Glenn was trying to come back. It's a scrappy team coming from that South Georgia area. And so that was a big win for Jonesboro. The season they've had, what they're trying to build for the future, getting that win was definitely significant. They obviously have a tough matchup coming up, but a shout out to Coach Syrup and the Cardinals for the big win. And then I mentioned this yesterday, the Hiram Cambridge game, they did jump out to a big lead. They kind of allowed Cambridge to come back in that game. So I think Hiram, solid team, top 10. But when you look at the rest of 5A, teams like Dalton, teams like Cartersville, how good is Hiram going to be? Can they take that next level and make a historic run in the playoffs? We will see, but they did get the victory.
100%. And shout out to Carver Columbus as well. Appreciate you tuning in, Jimmy, as always. We have our eyes on you. We're going to try to cover you guys more. So we're watching you guys out there in 3A. A lot of interesting results from 3A. As Craig mentioned, the Monroe area win against Sandy Creek and beating that team number 2. And as Craig mentioned, 3 teams in that region is out now. And only one that remains is Cedar Grove. And they got a close victory against Hebron Christian. So very, very interesting region. But that's going to conclude it for the results. We're going to jump to week 2, Craig. Some games we're excited to see. Let's go ahead and start there before we start with our standout performers. I got to say, like I said, Collins Hill, Milton. I think that's a game that's not talked about enough. Obviously, I believe heavy in Milton. They're kind of my dark horse kind of a team in there. And I think, as you said, TJ Wilcox taking that step forward, right? Playing very, very well in the last 3 games, right? No turnovers, I think is the key I saw there. Completing over 70% of his throws. Taking what the defense gives them, being able to run the ball with Cam Jones, right? All that is going to matter. And as we've seen, they played Milton tough, but had those turnovers. So can they not turn over football? Can they do what they've been doing the last few weeks and kind of hold? The key in that game, though, is that the defensive line for Milton is also very, very good. So got to keep an eye on that. Got to be cognizant of that. So I think they can alleviate a little bit of that pass rush. They run the ball well with Jones and able to kind of set up that play action, But for Milton, you got to just keep doing what you're doing, right? You had a good game against Duluth. We'll see how the running game looks. You got Amari Anderson and obviously TJ Lester. We'll see how that looks in this game. That's going to be the key for them to if they want to be kind of a dark horse, get some upsets and win a potential state championship. The running game has to be effective. It doesn't need to be 150, 200 yards. You got the star quarterback. You just need to have an efficient, effective running game that can make a difference. I think if they have that, they'll be fine. They got all the weapons.
Yep. And no turnovers. I mean, yes, that was early in the season. They're going to play again. That's always tough. But, I mean, obviously those turnovers just killed the game plan, killed the momentum. So I think it will be definitely a fresh matchup. I think for me, Westlake against Colquitt, I've been seeing a lot of news. Nico Fan, he's questionable in this one. He went out of the game. They're saying I think he was on one crutch this last week. He's out there trying to play, but he's losing mobility. So they're going to have to make a decision with him. Does he try to go limited with his mobility, basically throwing off 1 foot? Or is Colquitt going to be able to? I don't even know who the backup is. But that's a big storyline for sure. Westlake, they came off a win over Marietta. They struggled early, pulled away. They've had kind of an inconsistent season, but an opportunity like that, uh, where their signal caller might be out of the game, that's a definitely interesting storyline. I think the other one in 7A, Valdosta Carrollton, the way Juju played last round, that's just next level. 7 touchdowns, over 400 yards. If he does it again against Valdosta, I mean, that's that's the Juju we're talking about.
100%. My next one going to be Houston County Woodward Academy. I think this matchup slept on as well. Woodward won their region. I think a lot of athletes all over the field. How will the Houston County defense look? They did a good job. They did give a lot of points up to North Atlanta, right? 32 points, but they did force 4 turnovers in this game. So how will Woodward be in this game? I think if you're Woodward, you feel pretty good going offensively. Hey, we can score. Hey, we got the athletes, we got the players, we got Ben Grice, we got Josiah Abdullah, we got Lucas Farrington. We feel pretty good. Defensively, that's going to be the key. Can they get the pressure? They got the athletes, they got the players, got London Merritt, got Andrew Hines, CJ Hurd. That's going to be such an intriguing matchup just to see. And in that game we talked about before them playing actually North Atlanta, would the DBs be able to match up? And we thought they could. But nonetheless, those receivers still went off the Kel Woodburns, the Ricky Johnsons of the world. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how can Woodward secondary match up against those playmakers. Can they kind of limit them a little bit? So I'm excited for that matchup.
Yep, I think Houston County is coming off a great win. North Atlanta's a really solid team, so I think they'll have that momentum. And then talk about that quadrant alone, just how stacked it is. Below them, you're going to have Blessed Trinity against Gainesville. I'm interested in that one. Gainesville's obviously going to be a major favorite in that game. We know what they like to do. They have tons of weapons offensively. Sky Niblett's been balling out. Um, Gavin Hall, he's been doing it also. They're going to have to watch those slants, cover Gavin. The defense has been good. They have been able to get to the passer. They're going to have their hands full, though. It's going to take a great game plan. And as I mentioned, the only other time Coach Dudley, BT's coach, played Gainesville was in the state championship against none other than Deshaun Watson when he was at Ware County, and Gainesville got the victory in that one. So he is familiar with the Gainesville program. And the reason I bring that up is, so last time Gainesville beat Ed Dudley, they won state. Is that going to be the case this year? Remains to be seen.
Right. And speaking of Ware County, they got a state championship rematch in the second
That's
round.
right.
They play Warner Robins with the new quarterback, Judd Anderson. So I think that's an intriguing matchup between those two teams. Obviously got big aspirations. Number 1 seed for Warner Robins. They obviously, got state championship on their mind. So I think that's an intriguing matchup between those two. I can't wait.
That is a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Because Warner Robins, they've been cruising. I thought they handled their region play very well, but it's like you got to draw Ware County in the second round. That is tough. And Ware County obviously dominated that game last year. It's a whole different matchup this year, but that will be interesting. It is at Warner Robins. Should be a good one. And then let's go below it, though. Dalton and Creekside.
Yep.
Dalton prides itself on running the football. I think they've been under the radar a little bit in that region. I picked them to make the playoffs. They obviously made it above Calhoun as that number 3 seed. They're going up against Creekside, and that's another team that I always say they know what they're good at. They know what they want to do. So the matchup set, Dalton's going to try to run the ball. I think their ball carrier had 34 carries last game against GAC. They aren't afraid to just grind out a game. And then Creekside with that offense, putting up 63 points in the first round. They've done that quite a few times this season. I think they've had like 3 or 4 games over 60 points. So I think lots of yards, lots of offense in that game.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see kind of Ken Dalton, as you said, they like to run the football. Can they match? Sorry, can they match Creekside's physicality? Right, Creekside, we know, is a physical running team as well, right? Obviously, they could throw it with Vincent Berry, but they want to run it. They want to run it with Roger McCurry. They want to run it with Travis Terrell. So I'm curious to see can they go in there and be able to kind of match it with them physically and in the trenches with that offensive and defensive lines. I had Dalton going in and beating and upsetting actually GAC. So, like you said, come from a tough region. They're battle tested. But I don't know. I think Creekside at their home, and I've talked to some people, and they've told me it's we have not had a game there, but they told me that environment is intimidating for road opponents. So I think we got to keep an eye on that of them hosting teams. So that environment might be a little daunting for them. But my next one is going to be Hiram Jefferson. I got to bring that one up. Hiram kind of, Cambridge gave Hiram a game, and they came up short. And one of those calls looked like it was a touchdown by Preston Clemmer. It wasn't called that. They called him out of bounds. I think we got to eventually, man, get, instant replay or where you can go back into a studio or where you can go back into a booth or something, especially in playoff games. It's just too important. Maybe not regular season, but playoff games, you got to have that in. Obviously, we'll have it for state championships, but there needs to be something there for that. But Hiram struggled a little bit, right? And Jefferson is pretty much the creme de la creme. They are one of the favorites in 5A to come out. So I think it's interesting to see. Hiram has a high pressure offense. They can throw it. They can run it. Got Walter Matthews. Got a lot of good players. How would they look against Jefferson in that team? Can they slow down that rushing attack? I think it's interesting.
No, that's going to be a great matchup. Jefferson has been just so much better this year than they looked last year, even though they were a great team. Yep. They obviously got upset in the first round last year, had to deal with some other just unprecedented situations. And so I think they are definitely motivated. 5A's got tremendous matchups all around. I think the Jones County Coffee one's going to be big time. Jones County is a dangerous team. You got, the Mays Cass game. That'll be another intriguing rematch from last year. I think Mays, they've got the athletes. They've been playing really well. 66 points in this last one against a good Loganville defense. So I think 5A is where it's at. And, even that Dalton Creekside game, the winner's going to get Ware County or Warner Robins. Just huge matchups, 5A wide open.
Yes, and then 2 more for me is going to be Peachtree Ridge and Mill Creek. I just want to see for Peachtree Ridge, you're trying to build something here, right? You're trying to build something special on the coach, Matt Helmrich, right? You took the first step and you beat a pretty tough Lambert team. That's a tough draw first round, but you were able to beat them. Now you go against the defending state champion in their house, in their home, against Mill Creek. How will you look in that one? No one's going to give you a chance to win, but I think you got the quarterback in Darnell Kelly. You got the weapons in receiver, right? Lamar White. You got Miles Appernath. You got Rod Thomas. You can run the ball. It was interesting to see how they match up. And this is a good measuring stick to see where they are as a program because Mill Creek, a lot of people wrote them off. I was one of them. I call myself out on it all the time. I just didn't think they would be able to match up and be where they were last year. And they've done it. They're undefeated. They're having a spectacular season. So this is a good measuring stick, I think, for just Peachtree Ridge going up against Mill Creek.
Sure is. And, Mill Creek, they've looked very good in some games. I think they have versatility to them. It's like against Buford, they know how they want to try to beat them. I don't think we've seen them just go really aggressive offensively and really just try to outpass teams. I think they're going to take a methodical approach, let their more experienced team lead into victory, but we'll see. 100%. That's kind of been the game plan for them all year long.
Yes, and my last one, LaGrange Benedictine.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, Parker Shattuck's going in that one. That really good LaGrange, underrated team, really great receiving core as well. Shattuck does a little bit of everything going against the 4-star quarterback who really impressed a lot of people at some of the camps, and Luke Kromenhawk, and that really good roster. I just can't wait to see it, man. That's going to be a good, exciting game between those two teams out there in 4A. I can't wait.
Yeah. LaGrange has been on fire lately. They had the big win over Troop in their season finale, 45-6 win over Westover. And, they know Benedictine's the team to go through. And so, they'll be quite a matchup. And then below them, Cedartown, North Oconee. I like North Oconee. I think they're just too good offensively, defensively. They should win that one. And then that could set up quite a matchup. The other one, let's see, Westminster and Stockbridge. Westminster finally got past the first round, first time in 6 years, and I think Stockbridge has a chance to represent that quadrant in the semis. So we
Yep.
will see.
We will see. We're going to leave it there. We're excited for this next part of the show. Round one standout playoff performers, the first one we've had on our show. We've had them all season. We did it by week, but now we're going to do playoff standout performers, having big games. I'll start off and then throw it to Craig. Got to go with Calvary Days quarterback Jake Merklinger, the Tennessee commit, 13 for 13 for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns against Jackson. Again, yes, did not have an incompletion, went 13 for 13. That's getting it done. That's leading your team to victory. And with how 3A is looking and kind of those three teams losing in that region with Cedar Grove, I think it's as good a chance as any for maybe Calvary Day, and they'll probably match up with Cedar Grove come semifinal time yet again.
Yep. As good as Juju was, Hecklinski, Merklinger came out just perfect game passing. That's a big statement for him. My standout, I've had him a couple times this season, but Josh Miholin from Fellowship Christian, one of those guys like AJ Watkins at Norcross or KJ Bolden, he just finds ways to score in every facet. He had 4 touchdowns in their playoff win over Redan. That's Fellowship Christian. He had 2 on offense, 1 on defense, and housed a kickoff return.
Yes, sir. And then my next one is going to be Thomasville's running back Ant Anderson, 9 carries, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns against against. Sorry, I did them earlier. Against Harlem. So I got to give you a shout out. 9 carries, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Big time performance for you. Big time game, big time win against a really good Harlem team in a shootout. So that gets my round one standoff playoff performer.
I'm going to give a shout out to Brody McWhorter having a big performance against Kel. He's going to be at Clemson this week. Only a sophomore, I think. What he showed me, he's got the maturity, the physicality to be a outstanding class of 2026
Yep.
passer.
Yep.
I mean, he is going to really blow up in these upcoming seasons. He's only getting better. He's got great spin on the ball. He can find his big time playmakers. They love him. And then just that physicality, leadership he's bringing to the table, he definitely impressed, and he means a lot to that CAS program.
100%. My next one has to be Upsom Lee's quarterback, Nico Wells, right? Led a 23-point comeback, threw for 25 for 38 for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns, and also had 51 yards on the ground and a touchdown. That is coming up big. Counted them out, down by 23 points, were unrelenting, didn't give up, led his team to victory. Big time win for him. That is not easy to do, so he gets my standout performer, Nico Wells of Upsom Lee, with a great performance, coming back and leading the team to victory.
Yep, I'm going to go with Gavin Hall. Again, 4 touchdowns in Gainesville's win over South Paulding. He's really been the MVP of that team this year. I can't remember a guy just having this big of an impact season. It's pretty incredible.
100%. And next one for me is going to be Houston County safety Jordan Smith. 2 interceptions, 4 tackles, 1 for a TFL. He had the biggest one I've seen, and I really think helped lead Houston County to victory when he picked them off 35-32. North Atlanta is trying to go up to get their first lead of the game, and he picks the ball off, reads the route perfectly, reads the quarterback eyes, and returns it back, gives them good positive field position. Houston County scores a couple plays later, put a stamp on the game, 42-32, and that was all she wrote. So got to give a shout out to Jordan Smith, 2 INTs, 4 tackles, and 1 TFL. Big time performance. 2026 class as well, as you said earlier with Brody McWhorter. Could be a player to watch for going forward and could start to kind of blow up in recruiting.
Yep. For me, my next one, I'm just going to give a shout out to that Creekside offensive line because I don't have the full stats. I just know they did their thing. 63 points against Flowery Branch, leading the way for Travis Terrell, Roderick McCrary. Got the passing game going too. I bet they just had quite a field day in that game.
100%. And my next one, I was at the game. Statesboro's quarterback/athlete Cam Michael, 209 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and also had 2 passing touchdowns. One was incredible. Just loved the play calling. They did they brought in their backup quarterback. He pitches it to Cam Michael, and Cam Michael throws it all the way to the other side of the field and hit Raylan Grant, who also had 2 touchdowns on the evening, and set up a big play. They had that all night going. The reverses, just a well-called game by the offensive coordinator who kind of knew what he wanted to do, was taking advantage of the over pursuit by Tucker, and an outstanding job. But Cam Michael gets my standout performer with 200 plus 9 yards rushing and 4 total touchdowns on the night.
Then my next one, the Coffee defense. They went into this first round matchup giving up just 5.4 points per game. They shut out Chambly again. That's just incredible when they're entering their second round matchup, and they probably allowed 1 touchdown the last like 3 weeks. Just incredible defense for Coffee, and a team that I think has jumped up to number 1 in a lot of polls. I have them number 2 right behind Creekside, but that the way that defense is playing, I think that is just outstanding.
100%. And the next one for me, got a couple more. Perry's running back Ahmad Gordon, 158 yards on 30 carries. He had 3 touchdowns. Peep this stat. Scored 3 of the touchdowns in the final 18 minutes of the game. So that is getting it done. That's scoring in spurts. That's leading your team to victory, and that's coming up big when your team needs you most in the final, basically third to fourth quarter when you need them most and you kind of need to win the game. Ahmad Gordon does that, so he gets my standout performer.
Then I'm got to go with Juju Lewis. We saw what he did last year in the playoffs. Just outstanding, even in the finals, the tough loss to Mill Creek. Opening up 15 of 19, 435 yards, 7 touchdowns. Just incredible performance against Harrison.
100%. And then my final one is going to be Grayson's wide receiver. He doesn't always get a lot of love, but he's one of the reasons why I'm very high on Grayson, why I think they can make a deep, deep playoff run. And if they play Buford in the next round, could upset him. John Senius against Richmond Hill. 5 catches, 167 yards. He averaged 33.4 yards per catch in that game. So that's getting it done. That's showing that you're a big-time playmaker, and that you don't need a lot of touches. Sometimes you see receivers get upset or they're divas, they need all these touches. Only 5 catches, but look what he did with it. 167 yards, 33.4. That tells me he's beating them deep. He was taking those short routes and taking it the distance. He's a player that you got to watch on Grayson, the 2024 receiver who also just picked up an offer from Butler. So he's one to watch, man, and he's one of the reasons why I'm very high. Obviously him, Colin Fox, the running back Dylan Elder, Amari Alston, quarterback Jeff Davis was also recently rated a 3-star on Rivals. They got a whole repertoire of core. He's one of the reasons why I'm high on Grayson.
Yeah, we'll end it with him, and I mean he's just a baller. Yep. I mean every single game we've watched them play, he makes the play that just sparks their team, and he's just having an incredible year.
100%. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up the high school segment with our underrated player, tell of the tape. We're looking at last year's linebacker, Bryce Parker. So we're going to roll that right now. Got to add. So. All right, come on, add. All right, junior season, Bryce Parker, linebacker / tight end. So let's roll it. Let's see. Okay, big time play in the red zone, 4th and inches. Nice stick in the middle, not allowing them to get any yardage. Big stop right there. All right, here's number 32. Love the coverage right there. Scanning, reading the quarterback's eyes. Right here, he's in the middle again. Let's see, we got a motion. 2 guys coming in to block and protect. Nice pursuit to the football right there by Bryce. All right, here he is again. Go see him in coverage. Boom, screen, excuse me. Good job coming over and getting in the tackle. Okay, that's impressive. All right, here he's in the middle. Nice job wrapping up the ball carrier. Minimal gain right there. Here he's in the middle again, playing a little bit of coverage. Reads it, sniffs it out. Big time hit right there. Love that. All right, here's again in the middle of the field. So we got a blitz potentially. Good job.
Dalton.
That's Dalton. Wow, that's textbook right there. Secured the edge. This is Blessed Trinity, looks like. So playing upper echelon teams. Good job right there. You chopping his feet, filling the hole. Alpharetta. So as you see, they playing the big time teams. Nice job right here, not quitting on the play, continue to pursue. Good wrap-up ability. Same thing, good stick, getting in the hole, filling it pretty well. It's not gonna wow you with maybe his speed or his stature, but he just seems like he knows what he's supposed to do. Reads coverage well. Here he is again, and looking at him come down.
It's a great play.
Yes, nice hit right there. Roll a little bit more. Here he is right here again. Good job knowing. I love it. Boom. Good job block shedding right there. Getting there for a good tackle right there. Not allowing no big gain. All right, let's see it again. This is against Dawn, as Craig pointed out earlier. Good job just knifing through. Big time hit. We'll watch two more, and we'll conclude. Give our thoughts on it. Here he is here. Reading the quarterback's eyes, reading, and coming down. Nice. All right, last one. Here he is, reading it well, getting in the stick. Nice hit. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, Craig, what is your first thoughts?
I think he makes his presence felt. He's great in zone, great tackling. And I know last year didn't necessarily have the best season. They've been struggling. I think with Bryce, though, it's like he's doing his thing. The teammates got to build around him. You see him, if the play's outside, he's making sure he's cleaning it up. I think he's just got to keep doing what he's doing, and things will turn around.
Yeah, I think you can only control what you can control, and I think Bryce is doing a great job of that. Hopefully, the team gets to turn around, but they're playing some upper echelon competition, right? We've seen Dalton playoff team, Buster Trinity playoff team, Alpharetta playoff team. So I think he does a good job of knowing what his reads are, knowing what his coverage is, and playing coverage pretty well. Knows how to play zone. Um, and I also think he does a good job of, you can tell he studies his film as well, because how he's coming down, kind of detecting and knowing what the offense is going to run, and he's able to kind of sift through and able to kind of make those hits. And it seems like once he tackles you, you're not really going anywhere. So he does a good job of wrapping up, I think. And once he sees like, okay, hey, this is covered downfield, the quarterback's going to try to escape. Let me come down and make the hit. So I think it does a good job of that.
Yeah, the physicality is certainly there. We saw that with the goal line stand. A lot of those just sure tackles. So yeah, he's definitely doing his thing.
100%. But we'll leave it there. We're going to move to our second segment. Let's talk some college football. Okay, it's crazy to believe we're already on week 11 now. I think we're actually week 12. We're going to conclude week 11. But Georgia routs Ole Miss in a dominant victory. As I said, I didn't see that one coming. I did take Ole Miss for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I did. But yeah, a big rout. Just what are your thoughts, Craig?
Well, don't feel bad. I picked Tennessee over Missouri. That was just as bad. I just think really, you look at that matchup, it's a night game. Things are going well for Georgia. I mean, you expect them to win it. I just think the way Carson Beck's playing, Brock coming back, it's just very scary if you're a fan of another team right now. And all the Georgia fans that were freaking out earlier, just got to be patient. Just let them keep doing their thing. And I just think Kirby Smart is just an unbelievable coach. You look across the college football landscape, there's just something different about the Georgia teams. The way they just basically just trust the process, improve within the season, adjust, just show out. I mean, that's all coaching. That's all what he's been able to bring to the table.
No, 100%. You got to give it to Coach Smart. I mean, he's doing an outstanding job. It actually was a game. Ole Miss jumped out early, 7-0. Georgia answers back with a rushing touchdown by DeJon Edwards, and then they go up again. Ole Miss does lead 14-7. Georgia answers right back, and then after that, Georgia just took over the game, right? Held them to only 3 points after that. Was scoring in bunches. Big shout out to Kendall Milton. He had 2 touchdowns and 127 yards rushing. DeJon Edwards looked good too. Also had 2 touchdowns. And I think the thing about Georgia is this: it's hard to stop them, right? And I think that's what gets lost sometimes in professional football is the pass happiness. Always wanting to pass, but what you're seeing with Georgia is it's a nice balance, right? They're not asking Carson Beck to do too much, but he's doing what they're asking of him, right? He's running the football, um, and he's not, trying to make these big throws, right? He's just taking what the defense gives him, and that's honorable. And they got a running game, and it was nice to see some of the freshmen get in there and actually get a rushing touchdown as well. But that's my standout. I mean, the running game, and then Ladd McConkey. I don't know what else he needs to do and why he's not higher on draft boards, but you just talk about a kid that's just consistent and just a consistent player. And he reminds me a little bit of what, potentially a Wes Welker or Julian Edelman can do in the NFL, because he's not going to wow you necessarily with his size yet again. He's not going to wow you with, oh, okay, he's 6'3", 6'4", Marvin Harrison, go up and go get the ball. But he's just consistent. Like, that one play he had where he just beats the defender with just like a little kind of like a sluggo go. I mean, it was incredible. And he does that every game. And his presence being back, you can tell is big for the team. And it's like, if you're a defense, you're going to have to pick your poison. Are you going to stop this run? Are you going to double Brock Bowers? And it's like, who are you going to stop on the outside? Rout, Rosemary Thomas had a good game. You know what I'm saying? He had big plays. It's just like, this is a big play offense. They can run the ball. If you double Brock, they can beat you with McConkey. If you don't pay enough attention to Brock, Brock can beat you one-on-one. It makes it tough to me to beat this kind of a team. And I got to give the defense credit. They held Jackson Dart to 112 yards and one interception. That is incredible. This is an offense we talked about was humming. They put up, 40, 50-plus points on Georgia Tech? It just seems like Georgia's defense always comes ready to play. They may struggle to start the game, but they adjust. You got to give the shout-out to the defensive coordinator. Whatever happens, they adjust to whatever the offense is doing, and they make it tough for them. So I got to give that the game ball, and I got to give the game ball to the offensive line. Last part, and I'll throw it to you, Craig. Their ability on the running game to get to the second level is so profound. And that's why Milton has so many big runs. Like, you go look at the guard, the right guard, the left guard, the center. They're hitting the first player and getting them out of the way, the defensive line. And then they're getting to the second level, getting the linebacker out of the way. That sets up a one-on-one between Milton or Edwards and the safety. And then most times, 9 times out of 10, Milton or Edwards is going to win that. So I got to get a game ball to offensive line. They've been incredible the last few weeks.
Yes, they have. And obviously dominated the time of possession in that game too, but it's almost like, obviously coaches have the overhead views, but it's almost like they're able to look at the defense and know which guys to run at. And then it gets to the point where you try to stop this team for 4 quarters, and we see it every game. There's just one point in the game where it's just all Georgia. They're dominating. They're getting the yards at ease. And then going back to Ladd, though, you mentioned he doesn't have the best size, but it seems like he's pretty much unguardable. It's like,
Yes.
There's certain receivers where it's almost, you got to think of it like a great like MMA fighter. The technique is so good in the route running that they're reacting to what the defender's doing. They know how to flip their hips. They know how to create that space, and he's just that good at it. I mean, no one has guarded him since he came to the college football landscape. Obviously, was a versatile do-it-all athlete in high school, but him honing in on this receiver craft, you can just tell he's reading what the defender's doing. He's making them uncomfortable, and he's just so good at creating that space. And then his ability to catch is just next level.
It is, and it's going to be key, man. And I think it's going to be tough for these teams to beat them. Obviously, it's going to be entertaining. We can't wait for the college football playoff. But to me, I think Georgia just has so many weapons. Oscar Delp had another touchdown catch in this game, the West Forsyth alumni as well. But I just think they have so much, and their defense does a good job of adjusting in game. And I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they're cruising. And you mentioned just the run game, all these different guys getting involved. And then the confidence that the O-line's playing with. There's no defense in college football right now where they're going to go into – I mean, they're going to know there's tough defensive fronts, but they know they can match them physically.
Yes, 100%. But we're going to leave that there. Big time win for Georgia. That's what stands out to us. Let's break down Clemson, Rout, Georgia Tech. It's one of those games, like Georgia Tech is the big win, and it's like – they have one of these stinkers in a sense. And the crazy thing is Georgia Tech actually jumped out to a lead in this one, Craig. They were up 7-0. Haynes King rushing touchdown, well blocked up. He pulled the defender on the edge, but Clemson went for it early on a 4th and 7. I think it was the story of the game. Dabo was aggressive, and it was like, we're not going to allow this high-powered Georgia Tech offense to get up on us. So their drive after that one, they go for it. and Collins gets the touchdown catch. He was the lead on the drive. He at least had 4 to 5 catches on that drive. So big time results for him. And then I was really impressed with Tyler Brown as well. He had an impressive one-handed catch for Georgia Tech, or excuse me, against Tech to give them a lead. So he was impressive, but they started to pull away. Had a 27-1 lead. I thought the Georgia Tech defense did a good job of kind of keeping them in the game as long as they could until the turnover started. But a really good job there. But yeah, Georgia defense did what they could, but I mean, just too many turnovers.
Yep, and then Clemson making the great plays as you mentioned. They're at home, and they've been playing well. The game against Notre Dame, no penalties. Guys just taking advantage of opportunities when their numbers are called, making the great play. I mean, Clemson the last few weeks they've looked really solid, and it's amazing. Like, okay, Clemson's picking up some good wins. You look at the standings. I mean, their season has been over, and so they're playing for the future right now. They've got a kind of a different kind of motivation.
They do. They're running the ball well. Phil Moff is doing a good job. Former Grayson alum. And also, Will Shipley, Caleb Klubnik is doing a good job. 4 touchdowns. He looks better. And speaking of the future, Craig, I don't know if you know this, but we got to give us some shout outs, man. All right. So, speaking of the future, Shelton Lewis, former Stockbridge alum, had a pick 6 in this game as the true freshman. Also, got to give a shout out to the other freshman, Avion Terrell. You remember him from Westlake? He had an interception in this game. And Khalil Barnes from North Dakota. Right. You were very high on him, Craig. He had a pick in this game as well, and he's getting significant playing time right now as a true freshman. So I think what that says is great. Clemson did a really great job of recruiting, getting the special players out of Georgia, and now they're playing significant minutes. And I think their roles, from what I've heard, and kind of going to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, going to all the Clemson beat writers, these kids are going to be taking more increased roles as the season progresses. So that's incredible. They're getting a good experience now. They're going to be able to build that going into next year. As you said, building for the future. I think Klubnik will be back another season. He's only a sophomore. You might lose Shipley. You're going to use your star duo at the linebacker position with Jeremiah Trotter and other outstanding linebacker they have. But look at what you're building in the secondary with Barnes, Khalil Barnes, Shelton Lewis, and Avion Terrell. That's incredible. Want to give them a shout out.
Khalil Barnes is the real deal. He could play offense, defense for North Dakota. You knew he was a big-time playmaker. And what's special about those freshmen, these are guys that led their team in Georgia for multiple seasons, multi-year starters, and then they're getting that first opportunity when Clemson had already been struggling, knowing that they're the future. And so they're going in there, they're playing well and really trying to show something to the coaching staff and solidify their roles into the future. And so they've definitely delivered, and I think that Georgia Tech Clemson matchup is going to be really special these next few years. Tons of young guys were getting their first taste of it this year. Watch out next year.
It's a good point. I mean, when you think about it, King is going to be back. We got some really special players. Cedric Franklin decommitted from Virginia. He's going to Tech now. You got Trajan Greco, who we got to think about now. He's going over there. We got our guy Luke Harpring, who's going to Tech as well. So, I mean, I think you're right, man. Yeah. It's going to be really intriguing over the coming years.
There'll be so many Georgia players.
Literally, that's going to be so fun to kind of watch.
Classic game.
Yes, incredible. And also, real quick before we go to our picks and how we fared, I want to give a shout out to a few commits over the past couple of days. Jamar Graham, and I don't know if you know, before we went on air, he committed to Alabama A&M. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Nice. Congratulations. They're getting a big-time kid. We'll see if he continues to be quarterback there or if they have him do a position change. We'll see. But you can definitely use that 6'8" frame. And Ryan Gia for Milton, the Milton Eagles, he committed to Auburn a few days ago. So it's a big-time recruitment news. Yes.
Yes, and he hasn't necessarily gotten as many catches as something Coach Reeves said, trying to get him more involved this year. He's just been a solid guy, though. Great at blocking, does what he's told him, and just the frame he has is next level. He's a big guy.
100%. But all right, we're going to leave that there. We want to give you guys quick updates on the recruiting and everything there. But now we're going to go, how did we fare on our picks last week? I went 12-3. I missed on Penn State. I thought they could get an upset against Michigan, but they did not. Blake Corum ran wild and got that big win for them. Georgia Tech, I was wrong on that one. Clemson handled them. We talked about all the star freshmen, and then Ole Miss lost to Georgia. But I went 12-3. I got my other picks right, so feeling pretty good. I think if I win this week or from last week, it will be 4-4. So let's see how Craig fared.
I went 10-5. I missed the Tech Clemson game. I missed the Missouri-Tennessee one. It was a
Mm.
bad pick. I picked Nebraska. Who did they play again? That was a close one. Yeah, Maryland. You picked
Yep.
Maryland. I picked Boston College. I thought they'd been playing well. They got creamed by Virginia Tech. And then for some reason, I picked BYU and just they looked like absolute garbage. 45-13 loss. So I had a bad week. 10-5.
Tough week for Craig. Sounds like me last week, but I'll take that.
I did keep track of it this time to avoid scrambling at the last minute. But yeah.
Yes. We were trying to keep better track of it now. But let's go ahead to college football week 11. You guys know I picked the top 10, and then Craig picks the last 5. So 4-4, man. Let's see who gets the upper hand this week. But we are tied right now. But let's start with Louisville, Miami. Big time game is going to be on ABC. Louisville. I don't know. I mean, Miami played Florida State pretty tough. They've had a trying season. I think this is one of these trap games going in. But I'm going to roll with Miami. I think they can get this win at home. They're playing better. They got it going. They played Florida State really tough last week. I think they can come in here and get a win.
I do think more so in this week than recent weeks that Miami can get the win, but I got to go with Louisville.
All right, Craig is going Louisville. All right, next one I got Utah and Arizona. This is another top matchup. I don't know if Utah will still be ranked, but Arizona should be. But I'm not sleeping on Utah. They've had a tough couple of weeks, but I'm rolling with Utah on the road to get the win.
I got Utah also.
All right. All right, so next one, got to go with this one. This one has been hyped up. I'm sure Tennessee, they could fall out of the rankings or they might be top 25, maybe. We'll see how it comes out tonight. But Georgia, Tennessee, this is it. The one everybody has circled that Georgia could potentially lose. Obviously, that's a tough environment in Neyland Stadium. Tennessee's coming off that tough loss to Missouri, but I think Georgia just playing at another level right now. Hopefully, this is not the game I lose and Tennessee comes in here with an upset. But I think, Georgia, you just run the ball, give it to Milton and Dijon Edwards, lean on the offensive line. Beck's doing an outstanding job. The weapons are tough to guard. Defense playing outstanding. I got to roll with Georgia.
Yep. I think Tennessee's a good team, but their defense isn't going to be able to stop that run game.
No, I don't think so. All right, another good one, Craig. North Carolina, Clemson, right? North Carolina came off that, I think it was 3 or 4 overtime game against Duke. Coming in, Clemson's playing hot. This is one of those games like you might be like, oh, North Carolina's going to come here and win, but Clemson's playing some good football. They're running it well. Klubnik's playing well. Defense is kind of stepping up. I'm going to roll with Clemson. I think it's kind of what Dabo said. If you want to buy stock after that big win against Notre Dame, this is when you want to buy stock. I'm buying stock in Clemson. I think they win
Clemson
that.
Also.
Yeah, I think they get that one. All right, so Greg has Clemson along with me. All right, UCLA and USC. I had to throw this one here. It's just a big rivalry game between these both teams. USC's reeling right now. Defense can't stop anybody. They lost to Oregon last week. They're at home against UCLA. I'm going to roll with UCLA. I like their front. I think they come in here and get a win.
I'm going with USC.
All right, Craig has USC. Let's see who comes on
Don't
top
let
of
me
that one. They should be able to come on top. Another good one, Craig. They might follow the rankings. Kansas might after their loss, but Kansas State versus Kansas. Big-time rivalry game yet again. Who you got?
I got Kansas.
They're reeling. I'm going to roll with Kansas State. I think they're playing some good football right now, and I think they can come in there and get a victory on the road. All right, another good one, Craig. Washington, Oregon State, DJ Ugale versus Michael Penix Jr. They want to be able to get in the college football playoff. It's a game you cannot lose. So it's a big test, though. Oregon State's been playing better. They got a really good team. So who you got?
Gosh, they've been a lot of close games. Made it interesting, but I got Washington.
I'm rolling with Washington, too. We're in agreement there. I think they should come out on top. All right, another good one. Texas, Iowa State, kind of one of those trap games. Just heard some good news for Texas Longhorn fans, actually, that Quinn Ewers is going to be coming back next year for the program, another year as a Texas Longhorn. So that's something to look forward to. But I think Texas has some business they want to handle now. I'm going to roll with Texas.
I got Texas also.
All right, so we're in agreement there. I got 2 more that I'm going to throw it to Craig. Michigan, Maryland. It's one of those games, right? Coming off the high. You beat Penn State. You got Ohio State next week. You could be looking ahead to Ohio State, right? You want everybody to feel sorry for you, feel victim with the whole scandal that's going on right now. Maryland's been playing good. They just beat a pretty good team on the road against Nebraska. It's a trap game. They're 6-4. I'm rolling with Maryland with an upset. I think they get it at home. Yes, I think they beat Michigan.
I'm going with Michigan.
All right, Craig has Michigan. All right, my last one, I'm going to throw it to Craig. Syracuse, Georgia Tech. I think this game was actually for 8 p.m. It still is. I think after Tech had those big couple of wins, it was like we got to put them on the primetime spot. ACC Network on ESPN. I think Tech should win this at home.
I got Tech.
Yeah, I think they should win that. All right, throw it to you, my friend.
Let's go. We got Nebraska, Wisconsin. It's a pretty even matchup right there.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think Nebraska's not playing their best football right now. I think Wisconsin should win that at home.
I agree with you there. All right, let's see. This is an interesting one. NC State, Virginia Tech.
Interesting. I think Virginia Tech just had that big win, right?
Yep.
At home against State. I got to go with Virginia Tech. I think they should be able to win that.
I'm going to go Virginia Tech too.
Yeah.
I do like NC State though. They've been solid. All right. Cincinnati, West Virginia.
Cincinnati's not having a good season, are they?
Nope.
I got West Virginia. They should win that.
Got West Virginia too. All right, 2 more. App State, James Madison.
Ooh, App State's gotten hot lately, playing some really good ball in the Sun Belt. Just beat up on Georgia State pretty good. I think James Madison's still ranked, right?
I think so.
They're still undefeated. I got to go James Madison, man. I think they're at another level this year.
Same. That will be an interesting one.
Yes.
Let's go one more. Michigan State, Indiana.
Interesting. Michigan State struggle this year. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Going Michigan State.
Interesting. All right, guys. So that's the picks for this week. A few we agreed on, a few we didn't agree on. That is what we got. That is 15. So we'll see who comes out on top this week. I'm sure it'll be a fun weekend in college football. Sure to be some upsets. Should be a lot of fun. But let's move to the final segment. Our top 6 teams in college football before we conclude with our NFL news. I'm going to start first and throw it to you, Craig. After the win and the shellacking of Ole Miss, I got to put Georgia 1. Georgia has to be 1 for me. I just really like how they play. Both sides of the ball look really, really good. They're like the best team in the country right now, regardless of anything. They're 1 for me. 2, I'm going to go Ohio State. I just like how they're looking as well. Defensively, they're tough. They rank like top 5 in CF college football, all the statistics and things like that. I got to go with Ohio State 3. Michigan, Florida State was number 2 for me last week. Got to drop them to number 4. Struggled a little bit against Miami, a game they should have won in more convincing fashion, but nonetheless get the win. But they're number 4. Number 5 is Washington for me. Love how they're playing. The games have been close, but they continue to kind of trek forward and play well. And the 6 is Alabama. Another big victory against Kentucky.
Yep. The only one I'm changing this week, I'm putting Ohio State at number 2. I had Michigan there last week, so I got UGA, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, and Alabama.
Okay. So me and Greg in agreement for most of them. A little bit of a slight difference, but okay. Respect that.
Ohio State went up.
Yeah, Ohio State went up. Okay, cool. All right, guys, we'll leave that there. We're going to move to NFL segment. Got to start with C.J. Stroud. Continues impressive rookie campaign. Favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Another impressive performance. 2 total touchdowns, over 300+. No, I think 400+ yards of total offense. Just what do you think of him, Craig? I mean, it's a guy I've always been high on. I've been high on him since in college. Just what do you think of, his play and going against really good teams?
I think he's very special. And in that game when the Bengals failed to get the touchdown and tied it up, you just had a feeling, okay, CJ's going to lead him down, because it's just like some guys, when you allow them an opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it. He did. Had some great throws. And when you make the throw in stride, big things can happen. We saw it on that final drive, and just another great win. They let the game slip away. Bengals had one mistake to give him the ball back with enough time, and then he did exactly what he needed to do. So I think he is absolutely the front runner for that Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think CJ just has some great resolve, right? He throws the pick, nearly a pick six to Cam Taylor-Britt, outstanding cornerback. I think he's one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. But after throwing that, you see most guys just kind of crumble, right? Oh man, I'm gonna throw another one. He didn't. He was still on fire. He was still making big throws. He was still extending plays. So I want to give him a shout out for his resolve, getting the ball back deep into the territory. And what was so great is this is a quarterback. Like if you're gonna let CJ go back there and just chill, he's gonna light you up. And that's what that game showed and proved to me watching him up close and personal. You cannot give the guy the time. And the crazy part about it, Craig, he's not a guy that just does dump offs. He's not a guy that does checkdowns, right? He's pushing the ball down the field consistently and is very accurate with the football at that. So that part of the game really impressed me. And you got to get pressure on him. If you don't get pressure, he's going to light you up. And he was able to extend plays. When the coverage was really good, we couldn't get to him. He was extending the play. Something that people said he couldn't do at Ohio State. He's doing it in the NFL. He's doing it at a high level. And I think that's the standout for me is his ability to extend plays, create. And he lit us up, man. Him and Noah Brown, 7 catches, 172 yards. He did an outstanding job being our cover too. And we tried to disguise different things, come in pressures to him, and he was able to get rid of the ball, knew his read quickly, and got rid of it. So I was really impressed.
Yep. I just looked it up. The Texans were projected to win 6 games this season. They are 5-4 now. He's had them competitive in every single outing, and I mean, just couldn't be more impressed. And just the resolve, exactly what you said, handling the moment like that. You just knew he was going to lead him down there. I mean, the Bengals fans, they probably felt, oh man, we're in trouble. We had that drop ball. It's going to come back to haunt us, and can't give a quarterback like that an opportunity.
You cannot, and he impressed, and they got the Cardinals this week, so they could probably match their total from last year with the 6 wins. So very, very impressive. But we're going to leave that there and move to the next topic. Raiders have won 2 straight, and they're back in the mix of the playoff picture. Big win against the Jets. I thought they played outstanding. Robert Spillane had that big catch, or the big interception, against the Jets, and it's the same old story with the Jets. Just their offense struggles. I think the last 11 possessions they've had 1 touchdown. They need more out of that, and you're just surprised that the Jets don't go in a different direction. I mean, you have a elite defense. You have a team that could potentially be a Super Bowl contender, but your quarterback is not even giving you what you need in order to contend, and it's difficult. It's difficult. But back to the Raiders, I mean, just impressive since Antonio Pierce has taken over. They're playing some good football. They got a big test this week, so a lot of people say, "Oh, we're 2-0. They haven't played anybody." They're going to play the Dolphins this week. So this is a good test for them to measure where they're at, if they can contend, if they can compete with the Dolphins and make it tough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad situation. The players weren't happy. And then you can fold as a team, or you can try to get it back on track. And it's at that point in the season where you get a couple wins. The season is right in front of you because other teams are dropping too. We saw the Ravens lose, the Bills lost again, so they're in position now. And so these last wins have been huge. It looks like they're having more fun, and they're just playing together as a team. It's not just the offense doing it. It's not the defense. They're making plays, and just seems like they are having a lot more fun the last couple of weeks.
100% they are. So that's going to be one of the games to watch this week. Raiders playing outstanding. Rookie quarterback Aiden McConnell is doing his thing. Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, and Josh Jacobs is running it well. So they look pretty good, but they're going to have a big test this week. But as you mentioned, the Ravens losing a head scratcher to the Browns. They were up big in that game, 24-9. They led 31-17 with 10 minutes left in the fourth and somehow lose. Pick 6. Greg Newsome returns it against Lamar. He had 2 interceptions in that game. I think a fumble as well. Just what's your thoughts on them losing to the Browns? And really a big win for us because the Browns beat them and Ravens like they were running away with it.
Yeah, I was watching the end of that game, and it kind of looked like they were in disbelief. They obviously went in that game confident. They thought they had in the bag and just kind of slipped away. So that just really changes where they're at this point in the season. They wanted to get that home field, and it was definitely a tough loss, and they're going to have to respond to it.
They are, and they get the chance to do that on Thursday night. We'll talk about that matchup in a little bit. But, yeah, I thought it was kind of surprising, especially with how good they run the football. They were passing there, would have ran a little bit more. They're tough to stop. They put up 30 plus points on this really good Cleveland Browns defense, and they were in thorough control of the game throughout. So it was surprising that they came up a little bit short and gave the ball back to Cleveland, and Deshaun Watson matched them down the field or walked them down the field and got the score and won the game. But big win for us. I'll say that them beating the Browns, beating the Ravens, because it brings things a little bit closer in a jumbo AFC. So shout out to them and their win, and Ravens will look to kind of turn around this Thursday night.
Yeah, so when I was watching it, I had 4 games on at once, and that was when everything was going down. The Bengals, the Packers game, and so I saw who did Deshaun complete that pass to the go ahead. Or it was a touchdown, then the field goal, but who was that last one to?
Was it Njoku? Might have been the tight end. Was it a touchdown pass or just a completion?
I'm trying to remember. Let me check real quick. There's one specific play. Okay, the field goal. Yes, I mean, they were down 31-17 at the 3-minute mark, basically. It's just crazy.
Okay.
Where's that touchdown?
Yes.
Elijah Moore, yep.
Oh, sounds like fun.
So 31-24. Yeah, this is a crazy game. I was looking at like the win percentage of that one, trying to figure it out. But yeah, I was watching all those games at once. It all kind of blends together. But the look on Lamar Jackson's face afterwards, he was not happy.
No, and it's that's a tough place to play, a tough place to win, and kind of head scratching that they lost that, especially being up to pretty much the entire game. But
they have to play the Browns again, or
no, that's
the second.
it.
Yeah,
that's
so they
it.
won 28-3 the first time.
Yep. They got the Steelers and then us. I think the last game with us is Thursday, and then they play the Steelers at the end of the season. So we will see, but let's keep it going. Craig and Najee's biggest takeaway from this week in the NFL. Craig, I'll start with you. What is your biggest takeaway?
I like the Cowboys. I think they've gotten a lot of trash heaped onto them over the years, and I think that they're just continuing to do their thing. I think it's been so overwhelming, just all the people saying they can't do it, that it's almost like they're numb to it at this point. They're just focused on their own thing. Dak's playing well, and you look at some of these other teams go in the wrong direction. I think they can still improve within the season and get that momentum going. Anything can happen with injuries to other teams, with all sorts of things. So I just think the Cowboys have put themselves in a good spot.
I agree with Craig putting them in a good spot. I'm not trusting what I'm seeing yet. I got to see it in a big moment, but hey, Craig believes in you more than I do. But yeah, my big takeaway is got to be San Fran. San Fran's dominant win against Jacksonville. Jacksonville won 5 straight, and they didn't even look like they were in the same class as San Fran. Get a big win on the road, 34-3. That was just shellacking. And I was impressed. It seems like when they're fully healthy, they're tough to beat, man. And they're going to be a problem in the NFC. And to go on the road, that was not an easy game against Jacksonville, and kind of shut them down and make it tough for them. I think it speaks volumes of how really good they are. And the addition of Chase Young, man, that's going to make that team just different level and tough. So big time win on the road, get back on track for San Fran. And, they obviously got some tough games coming up, but I think they're right there when it comes to winning that division and beating Seattle when it matters most. And some tough games coming up still, but I was really impressed with San Fran.
Yeah, that was a big win.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. I forgot about that one. They looked outstanding. And then
They did.
I think the other takeaway is just the NFC South, man. What the heck is going on with that? I mean, the Falcons losing that game to the Cardinals, that's just brutal. I don't know what's going to happen with the franchise moving forward. And then even I was watching the Bucks-Titans game. The fact that they couldn't put that game away was unbelievable.
Nope.
It's just like score a touchdown, the game's over. They're just messing around. There's just not a lot of good football being played in that division. So I think that's another takeaway. It's just like, what's going on with that?
Exactly. That's a bold take, Jimmy. Jacksonville in the Super Bowl. Okay, we're gonna bookmark that. I mean,
Rise up. Yeah, we're waiting for it.
yeah, we're waiting for it, but I don't know. Jacksonville got to. I still believe highly in Trevor Lawrence, but it's the same thing, man. I got to see them against the big team. I know they got the big win against the 27-0. They were down and beat the Chargers, but I got to see them up against the upper echelon. And the good thing is we're gonna see in a couple weeks. They're gonna play Cincinnati on prime time Monday night, and then they're gonna play where they lost to the Chiefs already. But I got to see them against those teams, the Ravens. They're gonna get to play them. How do they look against the upper echelon AFC teams before I can say they're gonna win the Super Bowl? AFC is tough, it's ragged. I got to see them up against the upper echelon teams first for me to say they're going to win the Super Bowl.
If I was a Jags fan and I was coping, I'd say, oh, they just have jet lag from those international games. So maybe that's why. But no, putting up 3 points, that is definitely concerning.
Yes, very. And then we're going to conclude the show with the best game in the NFL. We're going to throw it to you, Jimmy, just any questions you have before we conclude. But we're going to talk about the best games in the NFL first. I think Bengals-Ravens Thursday night. Yep. As I told you, this is the game I have circled. This will let me know if my team is a playoff team or not. We were 5-4. It's crazy to believe this stat, Craig. We are 5-4 in 3 consecutive seasons.
That is funny.
Yeah, 3 consecutive seasons. It's been different stories each time.
Completely different ways to get there.
The media always overreacts and says, "Oh, Cincinnati's done." You know, they can't win. They're 5-4 in the tough AFC. You know, they're 1-4 in the AFC. They're 0-2 in their division, so they're always put in a spot for whatever position. They can never get ahead and have a 6-3 or a 7-2 or whatever. But nonetheless, let's see how they look. The tough turnaround. They're gonna be probably without some of their best players. T is not gonna play. Sam Hubbard's not gonna play. So we'll see how they look, man. It's not gonna be easy against Baltimore. They can run the ball well. They have a better and improved receiving core, so it's gonna be a tough game. But that's one of the, I think, best games this weekend. And the next one is Steelers Browns. I think that's gonna be interesting as well between those two teams, because it's division. And I think they played earlier this year. They did, and the Steelers won. So Browns, same thing. You went kind of 0-2, or actually you were 1-2. You want to be able to beat the Steelers as well and kind of get that division record back on track.
Yeah, Steelers coming off that pretty crazy win over Green Bay. I think the one you mentioned though, Dolphins, that'll be a big game.
Yeah, Raiders, Dolphins. Yep. And then the other couple big ones, you got Jets, Bills. Bills are reeling. We're going to talk about that one quick storyline as well. We got to talk about Josh Allen, but Jets, Bills, right? Jets lose. They're reeling. Bills are kind of reeling right now. This is a big game. Whoever wins this game can kind of put themselves in a better position. Both are sitting at, I believe, 5-5 for the Bills, 4-5 for the Jets. So this is a big game between these two teams. And then the Monday Nighter.
Let's go.
Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. Are you guys excited? I know I'm excited. This is a big game, man. I mean, Chiefs are 7-2. Eagles are 8-1. Eagles want to kind of put that stranglehold on that NFC conference. And I'm not going to lie, my friend. We do need them to beat you guys. Because, I mean, you guys are 7-2, and you guys got a little bit of a leeway on the AFC. So we kind of need the Eagles to handle business. But nonetheless, man, this is going to be a great game.
For me, it's about, let's see the Chiefs defense prove to everyone they are as good as everyone's been saying they are. Go out there, shut down that Eagles offense, hold them to under 20 points, get a close win. I think that would really, really say a lot. And you're going to see the craziest storylines going into this. It's just going to be probably the Monday night of the year.
I agree. It kind of almost resembles the Monday night of last year. The Bills, Bengals. Bills were like a hot team. They were playing well. Bengals were a hot team playing well. This could potentially decide the 2 seed. They're trying to keep track with the Chiefs. It gives that kind of a feel. Like top teams.
Where everyone was watching it.
Yes.
People that hadn't tuned into a single Monday night game
all year.
It's like, oh, this is the best matchup. Same sort of deal. Yep. I think this year everyone's going to be watching it.
100%. And last thing, and we'll conclude the show with this. What's wrong with the Bills and Josh Allen?
Oh, man. Well, offensive coordinator, that's obviously he's gone. Not being creative enough. And then they just aren't distributing the ball well. I think some of his top targets, it's like 2 catches. They're targeted 8 times, so they're forcing it to certain players. I think it's just not clicking. And even last year, I felt like they underachieved. Everyone thought they were the best team in the league every time you watched them.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I think the last time I saw the Bills play really well was 2 seasons ago in the playoffs. It was a cold game. They played one of the best football games I've ever seen. Ever since then, they just haven't been as good as people have been saying.
No, 100%. They got to be better. They've struggled. They struggled against the Patriots. They struggled against the Bears on Sunday night. They struggled against us. They struggled against
The Giants.
the Giants. They've also struggled against the Broncos. So they got a lot to figure out. Obviously, some culpability goes on Ken Dorsey, but I also got to give it to Josh Allen as well. And as Craig pointed out, tough schedule. After the Jets, you play the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, and then you conclude with the Dolphins. So a
Road
tough schedule,
games, yeah.
all road games. So
Yep.
they're going to have to figure a lot out soon, fast, and in a hurry. And I think it goes to Josh Allen. He gets a little bit of culpability for me, Craig, because you got to be better. I know he's a gunslinger. I know he wants to throw the ball in tight windows, but at some point you got to be able to take care of the football. And I think he has to be better. And he leads the league in turnovers,
Yep.
interceptions. So, I mean, obviously he gives you a lot offensively, but he just has to be better and not turn over the football so much and put his team in kind of just precarious situations.
It's like at least Eli Manning got the Super Bowl when he was throwing all those picks. It's like that's almost what it feels like with him. It's like you're leading the league in interceptions. What's going on? Like Eli, people be like, oh, but he has a Super Bowl. Josh doesn't.
Yeah. And I think that's what hurt Josh, because it was all this hype about the Bills and him. And it's like, okay, he hasn't even been to a Super Bowl game yet. He's been to a AFC championship game, but he hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet. He hasn't been on that stage. He hasn't won an MVP yet. So it's like you got to hit these things right to get that respect. So I think they got to update their resume. I think it's time. So
Oh yeah. No, they definitely need a makeover offensively.
yeah,
Not even just with the play call. I think they need new personnel, a lot of just a new style. I mean, you can keep Josh. It's just this is not working.
no, got to figure something out. And bold statement by you: the Bills are counterfeit, just like your belief in Cedar Grove. I mean, Cedar Grove plays a
That's
tough
funny.
schedule. It's pretty funny, but I think they're going to be there when it counts and when it's done. So we're going to find out. But as always, Jimmy, we appreciate you. We love you. We appreciate you always tuning into the show and always supporting. So that's all we got for this week. Tune into Craig's show tomorrow. Drive for the GHSA State Time. I'm sure you'll have some good guests, some good topics. I'm sure you'll talk about the rankings. So stay tuned for that. That's all we got for today. Appreciate you always tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.